there, it's Liz Davis here. I am a nutritionist and gut health specialist. I help busy women with their IBS symptoms, with their bloating and all those other horrible things that can get in the way of being able to enjoy life and help you feel more comfortable. Today I was going to just do a quick video for you all about dairy. Why some people choose to avoid dairy, what issues you might be experiencing which could be linked to dairy products, and then if you do avoid dairy, then what you should eat instead, because often we think that dairy is such a great source of nutrients, especially calcium, and we need to be eating a lot of it. Well, it's not strictly true, but I shall come to that in a minute. So firstly then, if you do experience certain symptoms, then there are certain things which could link the symptoms to a dairy intolerance. So if you're experiencing symptoms like digestive problems, or if you're getting any bloating or anything like that, if you have skin problems, so that could be anything from acne to eczema, that could be implicated in dairy intolerance. Also respiratory problems, so if you've got excess mucus, or you've got mucus coming from your nose or down the back of your throat, that could be a dairy intolerance as well. Okay, so if you take the dairy products out, then you could potentially experience less bloating and improved digestion. You could experience clearer skin, so no acne, eczema, that's a common trigger, and things like that. So if you do decide to take dairy out and you are worried about what you should eat instead, the important point to remember is that in order for our bodies to utilize calcium effectively, it needs to be balanced with magnesium. So really you want food sources which have both in there, which dairy actually isn't great at. Yes, it is a good source of calcium, but whether or not your body's utilizing it properly is another matter. So for a good balance of calcium and magnesium, you want to be eating plenty of foods like dark green leafy vegetables, avocados and seeds. All the seeds really have a good balance of minerals generally. Another good source is tinned sardines or tinned salmon that have the little bones in, the little soft edible bones. They're a great source of calcium for you as well. All nuts, and particularly almonds, have a really high level of calcium and magnesium in there. Or if you're vegetarian or vegan, you probably know that tofu is a really great source as well, depending on how it's been prepared. But that can be a real lifesaver for you if you're avoiding dairy products. So another couple of things to consider as well is that although a lot of people can't tolerate conventional dairy, they can tolerate raw dairy. So the trouble is, raw dairy is not that freely available. It's quite hard to get hold of. So you're looking at specialist suppliers really, so farmers markets or directly from the supplier. You may be able to get hold of it, but a lot of people find that they can tolerate the raw dairy fine. It's just the process of how they sterilize the milk, etc., doesn't kind of agree with a lot of people. So also fermented dairy can be great for a lot of people as well. So people will find they can't tolerate milk, for example, but they could tolerate a plain natural yogurt, and this is because the fermentation process has actually pre-digested the food, so by the time it gets to your gut, it's not too much of a problem for your body to process it. So that can work for people as well. So what a good thing to do is, if you suspect you've got a dairy intolerance or you'd like to experiment with this a little bit, if you take all dairy products, so anything with milk, anything made with milk, cheese, anything like that, take the whole lot completely out of your diet for 2 weeks. See how you feel after that. There are loads of milk alternatives out there at the moment. You've got almond milk, hemp milk, what else is there? Coconut milk. There's a whole array of things that you can experiment with. Personally, I prefer oat milk. I find that works really well in teas and things like that, and in cooking. And it's the other thing is you don't want it to be too highly processed, so you don't want too many ingredients in your non-dairy milk. So the less ingredients when you check the label, the better. Or if you've got time, making your own is fantastic. So you just need, say, for example, hemp seeds, water, and then you need a milk bag as well, which is a very fine mesh bag, and you can make your own non-dairy milks there, and they're really delicious. And then you can ensure that you haven't got any undesirable add-ins in there as well. So, but other than that, check the label, see what is actually in. The less ingredients they've got, the better. So you can use those if you want to experiment with taking dairy out of your diet, and see where you are after a couple of weeks. If you've got no symptoms, boom, you know that was a problem for you. If your symptoms are very reduced, then that's another win. And then if you do experience less symptoms, then maybe experiment with adding in a little bit of fermented yogurt perhaps, or some raw food, dairy products as well. See how they sit with you. And if it sets your symptoms off again, you know they're a problem. If you're fine, you know you can probably tolerate a little bit of that very unprocessed dairy food in there. Okay, so just a quick note then on low fat. I know low fat's often touted as healthier, but certainly where dairy products are concerned, if you take the fat out, you're just basically left with sugary water. So if you do eat dairy products, and there are health implications, I know, with eating too much dairy, or any dairy in fact, but if you do decide to eat it, always stick to organic and always stick to full fat. So you can be sure that you are getting, you know, the best version of it that you can get. Okay, so that's all from me for today. That's why you may want to experiment with taking out dairy, what to focus on instead, which foods to find the adequate nutrients in, and a quick experiment you can do to ascertain whether or not dairy is a problem for you. So I hope that helps you a little bit. If you would like to speak to me, I should put a link in the comments to my diary. So just ping me a message there, and I can find out more about you and how I might be able to help. Okay, so I shall see you next time. I hope that helps you a little bit. Okay, bye.